Good morning. You're going to want the coffee for this one because we got a double header. Oh, a little bit of the grounds there. Yummy. All right. We have a double header. Mark chapter 5, starting in verse 21. So Jesus crosses over to another side of the lake. Okay, yeah. Standard stuff. Standard new scene in the Gospels, okay? And one of the leaders of the synagogue named Jairus, probably Jairus would be better. Anyway, came, and when he saw Jesus, fell at his feet, begged him repeatedly, "My daughter is at the point of death. Come lay your hands on her so that she will be made well and live." So Jesus goes with him. That's part one. Mark loves these narrative sandwiches. You got the bread, and then you're going to have a second story of like the fillings, the meat, the good stuff. Or vegetarian, pita, beans. Anyway, and then the second half of the first story, they're a piece of bread. Maybe it's gluten free. Whatever. Okay, so other way. Story 1, part 1. Story 2, all of it. Story 1, part 2. Okay, so that was part 1. Part 2. As they're walking along, this woman who'd been suffering from hemorrhages for 12 years, they've heard this recently in another gospel, endured so much, and the physicians couldn't do anything for her. When she heard about Jesus, she came up behind him and touched his cloak, for she said, "If I but touch his clothes, I will be made well." And immediately her hemorrhage stopped. She felt in her body that she was healed of her disease. Immediately aware that power had gone forth from him, Jesus turned about in the crowd and said, "Who touched my clothes?" And the disciples said to him, "Oh no, there's lots of people pressing in. How do you know?" But the woman, knowing what happened, who came in fear and trembling, fell down before him, told him the whole truth. And he said, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease." Okay, so, narrative sandwich. First part, daughter needs to be healed. It's not looking good. Okay, it's looking bad. Second part of narrative sandwich. Unclean woman, touches Jesus, making him unclean. That's very bad. If anything, that is now nullifying his ability to heal, according to the rabbinic law, okay? But yet he does heal. It's like he's God or something. But anyway, okay. So that looks bad. It looks bad. The woman also thinks because she has touched him and has kind of defiled him in this way, she's worried, I'm now going to get in trouble, even though I've been healed. Right? But Jesus, God, brings goodness out of this bad situation. He doesn't punish this woman. He tells her faith has healed her. Goodness, the power of faith has brought good out of a bad situation yet again. Now to the last part of our story. While he was still speaking, some people came to the leader's house to say, "Your daughter is dead." Why trouble this teacher any further? Very bad. Okay, definitely not looking good. But overhearing what they said, Jesus said to the leader of the synagogue, "Do not fear, only believe." He allowed no one to follow him except Peter, James, John, brother James. They came to the house, and when he entered, he asked them why they're weeping, right? This scene, everyone's weeping, the daughter's dead. This is tragic, right? Tragic, terrible story. But again, Jesus, God, brings good out of this bad situation. He tells her to get up, and immediately the girl got up and began to walk about. At this, they were overcome with amazement. And so Mark wants us to, the reason I did both these stories, Mark wants us to see them together. We have 1A, 2, and 2B, or 1B, geez Louise, for a reason, right? They're meant to be seen together. Both are stories where it didn't look good for our ladies, right? They didn't look good for them. But God healed them. God raised one from the dead, okay? Both are stories where the law and the supposed of God's teachings and how it had been enforced would tell people to give up. That you should only treat this as bad. The law says this is bad. It's over. But with God, it's not over. In either case, these people would have both been told there's no hope. The daughter's dead as the doornail. The lady's been told, every physician's told her there's no chance, we can't heal you. We've tried for decades. Hey, God comes through. See, I want you to hear that together. These stories together present this message. Good or bad, God comes through. Even when it looks the worst that it can, God comes through. I'm sure you're thinking of plenty of stories now in the Gospels where that's true. Like the disciples worried about the sea storm, the raising of Lazarus, and one other that we'll get to tomorrow.